from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 I read the Sanskrit of this Bhagavad Gita sloka. Tesham nivanukam patam aham ajnanajam tama nashayami atmapavashto jnanadipina pashvatam. Translation. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Again, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of the literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The modern philosophers think that without discriminating one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme Lord, as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotion service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. And the pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become the soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. The translation of this verse, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 11. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Here it speaks of the heart. It's saying something of the heart. And it says that in this heart there is darkness. No question. The heart is a cavity in the body, and inside the heart, of course, it's dark. No light enters there. Cavity. Surgeons will be able to tell it. Just like in the stomach, you don't find light, or in the lungs, also almost no light is there. So that the heart is dark. And like many things are dark by nature. Like take this room, for example. This room actually is dark, if light wouldn't come in through the windows from an external light source, which is the sun or maybe some street lamps. This room would be dark. Many things are dark by nature. Actually, darkness is the original state of this material universe. Even take a large scale, take outside, you can see at night, there are not many sources of light, only the moon and some stars, so that's why it's dark. But when you have the day, then the sun is there, and therefore there's light. So by nature, even this entire material universe is dark. If it wouldn't be for the sun, which lights up all the planets, the entire universe will only be darkness. But there's one source of light, which is the sun. And Krishna also speaks of the moon. But we know the moon only gives light because it reflects the sunshine. Similarly, in Vedic literature, the stars are also only a reflection of the sun. This is how it is seen. Of course, material scientists will tell us that each and every star is a sun. That's why we see them twinkling. But they may be emanating their own light, but the major source of light in this universe is the sun, our sun that we see. And the stars are only a reflection of the power of the sun. This is why in the Vedic cosmology we say there is one sun in the entire universe. And all the other bodies of light, they only reflect or they represent the sunshine. This is true in one sense. It may sometimes be true physically, but then also in a indirect sense may be true. So in Bhagavad Gita also says Nakshatranam aham shashi. Amongst the nakshatras are the stars. Aham shashi. I'm the moon amongst the stars. It means since the moon is reflecting the sunshine, also the stars are only representatives or reflections of the sun. So in a transferred sense. So the sun, again, on its own part, we speak of the sun. This one is called Surya. And we also say Surya Narayan. Surya Narayan. Surya Narayan. Narayan, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is one emanation or one avatar of Narayan on the sunshine. That's why in many cultures the sun is worshipped. In Egypt, also in India, some traditions, they worship Surya. And the Mayas, they worship the sun. South American Mayas, they worship. Even in Greek history, Roman history, there was one Mitra, the sun god, was worshipped. He was supposed to be like Jesus Christ. So in many cultures, the sun is worshipped, not only because it gives us material light, not only the light, but also the warmth and the energy so the plants can grow. Everything is only possible if we have sunlight. But also because, not only because of that, but also because there's Surya Narayan, or one emanation of Lord Narayan is present in the sun. So then the question is the sunshine the original source of light? Or is it not? The question is, where does the sun come from? The sun, of course, we know, has its beginning and its end also. The sun will shed light in the universe for a very long time, but there was a time of creation of the sun, and there will also be an end of the sun. The end of the sun is described, or the sunlight is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, that after 100 years of Lord Rama's life, 100 years of Lord Rama, there will be a complete annihilation of the entire cosmos, and the entire cosmos will enter into the body of Mahavishnu. And it is described how that happens, the final annihilation. The final annihilation, don't worry, it's not going to come soon. Brahma is about 50 years old, and one day of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 years. So it is quite long. So one day of Brahma, that times 360, and that times 50. Then you have the rest of the lifetime of Lord Brahma. But it's described how it's going to come. The sun is going to become very intense, so much bigger, so much brighter, and it's going to shed out so much more light and so much more warmth, and by the increased heat the sun is emanating, all the waters will evaporate. Now we are living on this earthly planet. All the oceans will evaporate because of the heat of the sun. And that will, of course, the water will stay in the atmosphere. There will be immense clouds, and it will rain for thousands of years because of the heat, and then gradually the light of the sun is going to diminish. The sun is losing the rest of its energy. It's just going to disappear. And then the entire cosmos is first going to be in the waters of inundation, and then there will be this fire emanating from Shankarshan, Anantashesha. And Lord Shiva, he will dance his dance of annihilation, and everything will be dissolved in fire. And then everything will just disappear, become unmanifest, and enter into the body of Mahavishnu. For another time, for another 100 years of Lord Brahma's. As long as the creation was manifested, that same span of time span, it will be unmanifested. And then, after those 100 years again, another Brahma will be born, and it will all start again. So this is the description. So the sun, everything in this universe just circles around the sun. The sun is actually the most important planet, source of energy and light in this universe. And the sun has a beginning and it has an end. It is created at the beginning of Lord Brahma's life, and it is annihilated at the end of Lord Brahma's life. In between there are some other smaller annihilations which we don't mention here. You can study all this in Bhagavad. So then the sunlight, where does it come from? Parasya Shakti Vivadeya Shruyati, it says in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, that these all energies come from the Supreme Personality of God. Also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 10, Mayada Kshena Prakriti Suriti Satsarasharam Etunanina Kauntiya Jagati Parivartati. That this whole cosmic manifestation is under my dominion. Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So, therefore, the sunshine is a reflection of the light that we had in the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti, Jyoti, that means the effulgence. That is the source of light. Krishna also says, I'm the source of light in all luminous objects. So this Jyoti, that's the original Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadam Lakoti. The prabha means emanation. So the unlimited universe, they all emanate from the body of Mahavishnu, which is said in Brahma Samhita. So Krishna is, this Brahma Jyoti is the source of light of the sun also. The sun reflects the light of the Brahma Jyoti. Then this Brahma Jyoti, you know which color is the Brahma Jyoti? Which color must it be? We do not have the vision. We do not have the vision to understand what is the color of the Brahma Jyoti. But if you go according to Bhagavad Gita, it's 14th chapter, and verse 27, and you see this Bhagavad Gita is very strong. 14:27. There we say, Rama no hi pratistaham amritasya vyavyasya cha shashvatasya cha dharanasya sukrasya kantikasya cha. Says, and I am, Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So, Brahmanui Pratas, Brahma Jyoti, this is the Brahman. Huh? So, Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. It means also of the Jyoti, the light, the spiritual light of the Brahman. So, which color is Krishna?
Blue.
Blue.
Dark.
This is why Srila Prabhupada says the Brahma Jyoti is blue. It is bluish. It is effulgent, but it's kind of blue light. Now you know why the sky is blue. Krishna, yeah. See, the sun is an effulgence of the Brahma Jyoti. Now the sun is so bright we don't see it. But if you look at the sky, the light is dimmed a bit, and it is blue. But it's a reflection of the Brahma Jyoti, and the Brahma Jyoti emanates Brahmanohi Pratistaham. Krishna says, I am Pratishta, the source, the resting place of the Brahman. Because Krishna is blue. So this is what Srila Prabhupada says. I have not been able to verify that this is so, but we have to take information from the pure devotees who have seen by realizing Krishna has told them, Krishna has revealed to them that it's like this, and Srila Prabhupada told us so. So, therefore, if we have any light within the universe, it is because of the Brahma Jyoti, spiritual effulgence that is reflected through the sunshine. And then the sun again has so many other representatives, all the light bulbs that we have, electricity, all ultimately comes from the sunshine. You can of course say that, take this light bulb up there, but there are stronger light bulbs, but it is not directly connected to the sun. Still indirectly, the energy comes from the sun. We can, indirectly comes from the sun. So the same thing as the relationship between the sun and the stars. Okay. So, we are starting by saying that in our heart, the same darkness is there, that is there in the universe, or in any rooms that are not lit up by external sources of light. Why? Because the basic situation in this universe is tamas, or ignorance. Tama, dark mode of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have the 14th chapter is called the three modes of nature. Also in the 17th and 18th chapter, the three modes are described. And one of them is Sattva Guna, which is represented by the color yellow. Then there is Raja Guna, which is represented by the color red, which is passion. Sattva Guna being goodness or virtue. Raja Guna being passion. Passion is represented by red. And then Tama Guna, which is represented by the color blue or black. So this is the dark mode. And people who are under this mode, they tend to sleep much. Tama Guna also means destruction, means laziness. Anything, ignorance, especially ignorance, lack of understanding, knowledge, that is Tama Guna. So, unfortunately, this is the basic situation in this entire universe, this Tama Guna, this tamas. Tamas, if you would only have tamas, nothing would happen, but we also have passion. Therefore we have, basically in this world, we have two main forces. They are the one of creation, this is Raja Guna, and Tama Guna, which is destruction. This is why things tend to get always created and then destroyed. If we want to preserve things, we have to introduce the mode of goodness, or Sattva Guna, which is maintenance. In many times, the tendency is you create something, and then for some reason you don't like it anymore, then you destroy it or it gets destroyed. And we had this in the 20th century, economic development, and then some war, it all got destroyed. The First World War. Again, economic development, then immediately after everything was together a little bit, Second World War. Now, people have learned these world wars created a lot of many economic disadvantages. No, they say we have to preserve. We have to preserve. And now, we haven't had wars in Europe for a few decades because people have learned. But without destruction, nothing works. That's why we have many wars outside of Europe. Actually, the Europeans have to become self-centered. They don't want destruction in their own countries, but they want it somewhere else. Like these wars we have now that we had in Iraq, and now we have in Syria and many other places. You know that the Germans are already waiting when they can invest there and rebuild everything, make a lot of money. And the arms industry also, they're happy. Actually, many of these wars are just continued because of the arms industry, the weapon industry. What mostly happens that a war happens over a strife, some little thing. Like take the war in Syria, some strife, people were not satisfied, they went on demonstrations against the government, and the government overreacted. Then it went back, and from then the ISIS came, and it all went bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we have even so many other foreign countries involved there. Iran involved, we have US involved, so many countries. Germans are not getting involved in direct fighting because they have had enough 2 world wars in last century. But they're waiting. Where we can sell our weapons. And you know that Germany is the third largest, third most important exporter of weapons. We can sell our weapons. Fine, good, we're making money that way. And then after everything is destroyed, the German companies are waiting, we can rebuild. We restructure all the buildings, we make everything better. This way we can even make more money. So in this way, war is a big money maker for economies that have some intelligence. And it is always happening. You cannot avoid it. Because in this world, these two modes of Rajaguna, creation, and then Tamaguna are very dominant. For Sattvaguna, you need personal qualifications. Sattvaguna doesn't come automatically. Sattvaguna you have to cultivate. Just like you have to put a source of light into a room to light it up. By nature, a room will be dark. If you want to have light, you have to bring in the source of light. So by nature, also, if people don't endeavor, there's only going to be Tamaguna and Rajaguna. Of course, Rajaguna looks like a lot of endeavor, but it is kind of spontaneous. You have to do something, and you get results, hope for results. If I do this, then I earn so much money and I get so much prestige. And this is politics. A lot of politics is only done for the prestige, because of the prestige. Even now, politicians, they have these verbal fights. It's only for the prestige and for nothing else. But they also these wars are also often, many times, they're only for the prestige. So this is kind of comes up from the lower nature, Tamaguna and Rajaguna, this lower nature. And if you want to maintain or improve, then you have to introduce Sattvaguna, which is the mode of goodness and virtues. There are 4 pillars of Sattvaguna. They are also called the pillars of religion. And those are called truthfulness, mercifulness, austerity, and cleanliness. Truthfulness, mercifulness, austerity, and cleanliness. So out of those, few are easy to achieve. Like take, for example, cleanliness. Well, not so difficult, one could think. We have a big industry for all soaps, and all kinds of toothpaste. And we have showers in every room. So maybe not. The internal cleanliness may be more difficult. But truthfulness is very hard. Everybody cheats as much as he can, isn't it? There are some laws against cheating. If we wouldn't have those laws, people would, practically speaking, cheat 75% of the time, isn't it? Ja, wir sind hier im Bhakti Yoga Zentrum, aber wir haben gerade Vortrag. Wieder natürlich. Okay. People will cheat at least 75% of the time. Even look at our social economies that we have here. And people, it's a good thing actually, but even the social welfare receivers, they're cheating as much as they can. Try to get as much social welfare as you can by cheating by hook and by crook. The unemployed cheating as much as possible. And everybody's just cheating everybody as much as he can. So there is some balance in that way. So this is very difficult to maintain truthfulness. Or in the economy. Now our Western economies, our Western states are practically controlled by the economy. Politics nowadays mostly means keep everybody satisfied by giving him a lot of money and make it possible for the merchants to sell their goods internationally, globalization. This is what most of the time the parliaments talk about, how they can make more money. It's not that politics, only a smaller part of politics nowadays is for raising people's virtues or for creating peace internationally, but mostly they want to do things through the money, control the economy in some way. So, and economy means you say this product is very good for you. It is so good for you. If you take this product, you have no more problems. Although the product actually may be rubbish on the long term. So this is economy. If we base our politics, our thinking on money making, truthfulness will not be there. Even it is Srila Prabhupada explains that Vaishya, merchants, they have to say the untruth sometimes. You cannot say to people, well, you know, this toothpaste is rubbish. You know, there are much better products. No, you cannot say that. Then you will not be able to sell your toothpaste. And you say, oh, this is actually not good. You know, in the long run it will damage. No, yeah, this is the best toothbrush or toothpaste. This is what Vaishyas have to do. So as long as we only think of our physical well-being and try to buy and sell, truthfulness will not be possible to be maintained. This is very difficult to achieve. And sometimes the advertising or lying gets out of hand. Like in 2008, 2009, we had this huge economic crisis that because of selling real estate. The real estate was estimated much too high and there was so much lying. This whole stock market is actually also based on lying and it's gambling. It's gambling. Gambling and untruthfulness are very closely connected. It says that gambling destroys the virtue of truthfulness. So truthfulness is difficult to achieve. Say one other value, mercifulness or daya, also difficult. Well, it's not that difficult maybe as truthfulness, but it is difficult as long as we eat meat. As long as people eat meat, it is very difficult to really cultivate daya or mercifulness. Because if you commit violence in order to satisfy the taste buds, you don't worry that an animal is tortured and killed just so you have some nice, gorgeous taste on your tongue, then that is not a sign that you are a very merciful person. You take into account the suffering of these animals just to satisfy your taste buds. That doesn't cultivate the person's mercifulness, or being nice to everybody, protecting the environment. As long as people are not vegetarians, mercifulness is also very difficult to cultivate. I just had a talk to my father. My father is 93, and he still argues. And he said, my parents were eating, we haven't been able, although there are two devotees in the family, we haven't been able to change their eating habits. And my father has a problem with coughing. He's 93. So I recommended you should take less milk products. Why? Because milk produces mucus. Right? Naturally, we know if we have a cold, we take milk products, it will just create so much mucus. So it's good Ayurvedic recipe. If you have a cold, don't take milk products. You will produce less mucus. So my father also, good idea. They actually stopped taking milk products. Now he's eating meat, more meat instead. Still we were eating, I was sometimes with the sun, actually I was not taking lunch at that time. But he said, I am a kind person, he was saying. I don't harm anybody. With his piece of meat, just putting the meat in his mouth, I don't harm anybody. yeah, people actually may be nice, they are not killing animals consciously, but just by committing this so-called structural violence, the laws of nature will get back on them. The violence that you commit, the type of violence that you emanate, the violence that you send into the environment, that will come back to you by the laws of nature. So, some or other, by the law of karma, of course this is what nobody, people in the West don't understand, take this karma law seriously, but by the law of karma, the laws of nature, the violence that you emanate, that you exert into the environment, that will come back to you in some way. And those ways are accidents, wars, car accidents, and wars mostly, or natural catastrophes, and all kinds of, events by which we experience violence. Also, sometimes people are attacked, burglaries and all that. Actually, my parents did have quite a few burglaries. So, I mean, it will come back to you in some way. So, merciful is not easy. Then, truthfulness, mercifulness, cleanliness, and austerity. Yeah, austerity, or tapas. Very difficult. I discussed these 4 columns of religion, or these 4 basic values of the mode of goodness, with many students who came here. School classes come in, other people also. Everybody thought that the other virtues were good. Truthfulness is good, mercifulness is good, cleanliness is good, but austerity, is it good? Probably, if we would all be austere during Christmas time, it would damage our economy. People wouldn't go shopping during Christmas anymore and other times. It would damage our economy. Austerity also is very unpleasant. So at least in our societies, some of these values are very difficult to put into practice. And this is why we have a lack of goodness. And goodness means virtues, but also means maintenance. Now, I can illustrate it. If you have a house, for example, it takes some passion, some enthusiasm, some energy to build a house. Also, it takes some energy to destroy a house. But you don't want to destroy the house after it has been built. That would be foolish. You want to maintain it for at least for some years. See, the construction only takes a few months, and the destruction only takes a few weeks if you count with machines. But to maintain it, that you must do for many, many years. And for this maintenance, the mode of goodness of sattva guna is necessary, and that is lacking. Mostly it's rajaguna and tamaguna, and this is coming by nature because these are the lower energies, the so-called lower modes in this universe. Tamaguna, darkness, and rajaguna, too much energy. But what is necessary, that is this light, sattva guna, the mode of goodness, and that we have to cultivate. It doesn't come on its own. And we cultivate it first by following own principles. We become vegetarians, we don't take intoxicants, no meat eating, no intoxication, we don't do extramarital sexual activities, and no gambling. We don't gamble, for money or in the economies and so on. So all these are restrictions that take some discipline. Especially in the West, if somebody tells you you must become a vegetarian, to refrain from eat meat, fish, and eggs, very difficult. Or you must stop intoxication, especially in Germany. Germany is the highest consumption of alcohol. You know that? Per capita. Russian is even higher. Russia even has an even higher consumption. But this is, they don't count, they don't have the same type of statistics. In Russia, beer is not considered an alcoholic drink. Did you know that? It starts with vodka. So therefore, they have a different way of measuring it. But in Russia, the alcohol consumption is extremely high, so high that it has significantly decreased the lifespan. You know that Russians don't live very long because of the alcohol. That's the main reason. Only men about 70. Yeah. But apart from Russia, Germany, what these statistics is concerned, Germany has the highest consumption of alcohol per capita. I think it's a bucket of pure alcohol per year per person or something. So, yeah, I mean, very difficult. Cigarettes, very difficult to stop. And intoxication, eating, gambling, illicit sex, yeah. Also, it's on the rise actually, it's being propagated. Brothels in more places. Take only Hamburg. Previously, until about 20 years ago, prostitution was limited to St. Pauli, the harbor area. But then there was a law that you could have a brothel anywhere in the city. So you only look at the posters and what is being posted. Illicit sex is actually being propagated. Also philosophically, there is a whole thing there. Maybe it's not a good idea to talk about it. But homosexuality being equal to heterosexuality, that gay couples can also get married as much. And even in school education, they say that there is one, it's called gender philosophy, maybe you've heard, that men and women actually aren't different. They only seem to be different because of the upbringing, the forced upbringing. The parents have an artificial conception of what a girl should be like, and of what a boy should be like, and they enforce their artificial conceptions while they bring their children up. So actually boys and girls are the same. By nature they're completely the same. And this creates many problems. They say that later we have these gender fights, fight between men and women, and we have separation, and they are lovesick and all this, because then the male want to be dominant, and then there is abuse. They abuse the women, they beat the women, and different kinds of put their power trip on the women, and like this. This creates many problems. They say this difference between the genders. So therefore, these gender roles have to be equalized. And well, since these gender roles are imposed on the children by the parents, they have to take the children away from the parents, and they have to be educated by the government. And this is happening, you know it. Don't you know it? We have kindergartens now everywhere, and be aware. I mean, it's true. This gender philosophy is very influential. Then even in school, you know that they even fourth grade or third grade, I think, they start explaining, how about contraception and things. Fourth grade, I know of fourth grade. And this gender philosophy will actually say that we have to, first of all, accept any type of sexuality is okay, it's all equal. And it's actually better to cultivate a type of sexuality that does not lead to procreation. Because when you have children in the family, again, that will be problematic. So any type of sexuality, any alternative ways of satisfying, we have to teach it. And they're actually teaching it, and it is good in order to get away from the gender roles, because for the many alternative way of sexual satisfaction, you don't need different genders. You can have it. I mean, this is a philosophy which is quite influential. Of course, there are other philosophies also. But in some countries, Scandinavia is more advanced, and these boys are taught not to be boys, and girls are taught not to be girls. There is one huge economic advantage of that. Everything in the modern world centers about money making, because then the men and the women can equally work, raise money, and these countries where both men and women work, they become very rich. We have seen it in the Western countries. Since the 60s, since the so-called women's liberation, the main result of women's liberation was that all the women went to get a job. First they got job training, went to the universities, and then they worked as much as the men, and that was immensely good for the economies. And everybody earned a lot of money, and we become rich that way. This is actually, it's all for the money. This is the Vaishya thinking. Make money, make money. This is the Vaishya thinking. And Vaishya makes means mixture of Rajaguna and Tamaguna. This is Vaishya. Raja and Tama. So the mode of goodness is lacking, and therefore, people are having difficulty in improving themselves. So now, what is the advice of our Sampradaya? People are very, very sensitive if you talk to them about their morals. You know that? Yeah? Stop smoking. Very difficult. I'm the most moral person, people who walk around. So, and therefore we don't preach to people about the morals, because they'll feel offended. Even in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one should not disrupt the minds of the people or of the ignorant. Rather, one should engage them in works of devotion. One should engage them in works of devotion. One should not frustrate them, disrupt their minds, make them angry. No, one should engage them in works of devotion. And works of devotional service, different ways. Here Krishna says, why? Here we have it actually. Krishna says, to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Are engaged in works of devotion, then Krishna, who is dwelling in their hearts anyway, will destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge all this darkness born of ignorance. So we have to introduce Krishna consciousness, and this will just light up all this darkness. And this is the easiest way actually for everybody to make spiritual advancement. It is also the quickest way, because you don't have to explain to them why certain types of behaviors are good, not bad, are good and others are bad. They will not listen anyway. But you try to introduce Krishna, and then Krishna will bring this light of knowledge to their darkened hearts. So, and Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport, different places in the same purport, that the way to self-realization or to this light of knowledge is not theoretical speculation, but it is positive engagement in devotional service. positive engagement in devotional service. If we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then automatically those same senses won't have time to engage in nonsense. Therefore, as much as possible, one should serve Krishna in any way, in some way. There are 9 processes of devotional service. One of them is Shravanam. That's the first one, Shravanam. Shravanam means hearing. One should hear about Krishna. One should not listen to the, well, nowadays people don't listen to the radio, they engage their sight also. They listen to the TV and also watch TV. From the TV you won't get influences of sattva or enlightenment. It will all be passion and ignorance. One should listen to Krishna, Shravanam. For that one must make time. One should spend some time during the day with reading Holy Scripture. Shravanam is the same as hearing and reading is the same, but only if you read Holy Scripture. Also, Shravanam can mean you listen to bhajans, Krishna. It can also mean you listen to tapes of or MP3s and 4s, of holy men who speak about Krishna. That is Shravanam. Also, you take time to visit a festival or visit even a small program like this where somebody is speaking about Krishna. That is Shravanam. And then this, what we have heard, this is information about Krishna, but it has to be digested also. And how do you digest this information? You digest it by speaking about what you've heard, and that is called kirtanam. Shravanam, kirtanam. You speak about what you've heard to other people or with other people. You tell them what you've heard about Krishna, and it says in these verses also that what do these pure devotees do? They take great joy, they experience great joy when they talk about Krishna and enlighten each other. You tell somebody else, or you talk with somebody about what you have heard about Krishna. Shravanam Kirtanam. Now this Shravanam and Kirtanam is very easy in this age. Those are the 2 first processes of devotional service. And the most important ones, because they are, even for the beginners, they are very simple. Shravanam Kirtanam is both contained in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Both Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because when you speak the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that is Kirtanam. Satadam Kirtayantam Mam, now always chanting my voice, Krishna says in line 14, endeavoring with great determination. Satadam Kirtayantam Mam. So when that is Kirtan, praising Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is Kirtanam. So then when you chant this mantra, Shravanam is also involved. Because the mantra that you pronounce with your tongue and your voice, you hear it, of course. You hear it. This is why we're not saying this mantra silently. We don't sit there and say Hare Krishna. We could fall asleep. No, we say it loudly and we hear it also. Then the tongue is involved, the lips are involved, the teeth are involved. Even when you chant, the fingers are involved. And then the ear is involved when we hear the mantra. And in this way the mind becomes purified. Shravanam Kirtanam. And this is the first thing, Shravanam Kirtanam. How do we engage in devotional service? By Shravanam Kirtanam. This is where it starts. We also have an example of one great king, Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was a great king of the Vedic age, and he was busy in devotional service And it says that he engaged his mind in thinking about Krishna. He engaged his hands in offering puja to Krishna, to the deities. He engaged his feet in walking to the temple of the Lord. He engaged his tongue in eating the remnants of the food stuff offered to the Lord. He engaged his smell in smelling the incense offered to the Lord. In all his work, actually, he was a Raja Rishi, a Vedic king, serving the Lord. So this service, this type of self-realization that we are propagating, Bhakti Yoga means serving. He was a king, so he had a lot to do, but he did it all in accordance with the advice given by the Brahmanas and to please the Lord. And religion even was the main issue in his state. That is the example of Maharaj Ambarish. Sometimes it's being argued, well, Bhakti yogis, they serve God by everything they do. They actually serve God. They try to put God in the center. But maybe meditation is better. So there was one yogi, Durvasha Muni. You've heard Durvasha Muni? You've heard, Durvasha Muni. He's kind of notorious. He actually is a devotee of Lord Shiva, and his way of meditation is Shivoham. Is impersonal meditation, a yogi. But he is a very wise man and very powerful. If Durvasha Muni knocks at your door, be careful. So in this case, Maharaj Ambarish, he had been following Ekadasi vows. Ekadasi we also follow twice a month. So we follow Ekadasi. He had been following Ekadasi vows, so this was previous age, so his vow was a little more extensive. He had been fasting for an entire year. He could do it. He had become very thin. But he was doing it part of his devotional service, part of his sadhana. So the moment had come to break fast. He was just, people had prepared Ekadasi prasadam, light food, to break his fast. Who knocks at the door? Durvasha Muni. He knocks at the door, and now he's a Brahmin, he must eat first. Ambarish Maharaj was Kshatriya, so the Brahmins are superior, so he must eat first. Okay, he didn't touch his food, but they hadn't prepared that much food, and Durvasa Muni, we have to prepare food. I fast, I'm doing my fasting, so come back after the moment, and then you're the first one to take. So then this moment was passing that Ambarish Maharaj could break his fast, and he wouldn't break his fast during that time, then his entire fast for 1 year would be useless. He would lose all his pious results. So therefore he consulted his Brahmanas. The Brahmin said, well, you take some water. By taking water, you don't break the fast, but break it simultaneously. So you can maybe take some water only. Okay, then Ambarish Maharaj took some water, and Durvasha Muni has this mystic potency that he has eaten. He came to the spot, he became immediately very angry. Durvasha Muni became so angry, he had this immense anger because of his mystic potency and with all his authority and austerity. He pulled out a hair from his hair, threw it on the ground, and a terrible demon manifested from his hair and wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj because of his offense to Durvasa Muni. So what happened? Sudarshan chakra came and immediately killed that demon. What is Sudarshan chakra? Sudarshan chakra is the fire wheel of Lord Vishnu. Because he was a bhakta of Lord Vishnu, of Krishna. Krishna said, Nami bhakta pranashyati, my devotee will never perish. So when this demon wanted to kill Ambarish, Vishnu sent his fire wheel, his Sudarshan chakra. So the demon was dead on the spot, but then the fire wheel continued to go after Durvasa Muni also, because he was the cause of this demon who wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And he followed the Muni through the entire universe. Durvasa Muni went to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said, but you have offended Vishnu Bhakta, I can't help you, you have to go to Lord Vishnu. Before Shiva, he had gone to Brahma. Brahma said, I can't help you, go to your adored deity who is Lord Shiva. Shiva said, you have offended Vishnu Bhakta, go to Lord Vishnu. So he went to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu said, the Sudarshan chakra, always behind him. Then when he was talking to Lord Vishnu, the Sudarshan chakra waiting in front of the door. And then Vishnu said, I can't do anything for you. You have to ask for forgiveness. Ask Ambarish Maharaj for forgiveness. You have to ask his forgiveness. And then after he has forgiven you, then I will forgive you. So, Durvasa Muni goes back to the door. Sudarshan chakra, but Sudarshan chakra is waiting. Let me see. Now going back to Ambarish Maharaj. There also Sudarshan chakra is waiting in front of the palace door, and Durvasa Muni pays obeisances to Ambarish Maharaj. Dear Ambarish Maharaj, I have offended you. I wanted to kill you only because you drank some water to break your fast. Now please forgive me. And Ambarish Maharaj, he hadn't eaten anything since then. Durvasa Muni, he went to Lord Vishnu, and this takes some time. When he goes to see Brahma, it is different time calculation. 1 minute of Brahma is quite some time here. So Ambarish hadn't eaten anything here. He had only taken this little sip of water. He was even thinner than before, but he said, what kind of offense did you do? I have invited you as my guest, and suddenly you were gone. Could I serve you some food now? So then he gave him some food, and Ambarish Maharaj also took prasadam, so he was forgiven, so everything was resolved. This incident, of course, from this incident we can learn many things, but especially this story is told so that we can learn that actually the process of serving God, bhakti yoga, active service to Krishna, is so much more powerful than impersonal meditation. And this is also what, so because Durvasa Muni was a Brahma body, Brahman realized, and he had to ask for forgiveness, ask Ambarish Maharaj for forgiveness. You have to pay obedience to Ambarish Maharaj. So Krishna also says that. To Arjuna, same situation. Arjuna says, much better to be peaceful now, not to engage in this fight. But Krishna says, no, it's better to work than not to work. Would Lord Krishna's creation go on if everybody just sat down, didn't do anything, and just meditated? No, nothing would happen. Now, this is why Krishna also introduced the Varna Ashrama system. So everybody, the different professions, strata of society. So everybody can please God by some type of work that he feels best with. So now, therefore, the solution is try to engage everybody in devotional service. Don't preach to them about morals. But especially for those who are in Grihastha ashram, those who are married or have family, it is said that brahmacharis and sannyasis, they mainly preach by their words. They explain the philosophy. Brahmacharis, sannyasis. But of course they also have to give an example. They have to practice what they preach. But householders mainly preach through giving example. They don't even have to say much, but they act well to guide people, give a good example that people can follow. Because Krishna says, Yat yat acharati shestras tathat ivaitaro jana sayat pramanam kuruti lokas tat anuvatati. Whatever a great man does, everyone will follow. And Krishna says, even when he comes to this earth planet as an avatar, even he gives example as a king. Krishna says, if I would not engage in work, and the entire cosmos would collapse. So, therefore, we have many instances where it is proven that this path of Bhakti Yoga is the most practical path. Also, it's the path that leads to self-realization and to satisfaction of Krishna. And most securely, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavam yaschasmi tattvataha, that only by devotional service, by bhakti, can I be understood as I am, and I reveal myself to such a person. Vishate tat anantaram, and the person who does this work at the end, who does pleases Lord Krishna by bhakti, will at the end come to the spiritual realm. In this way, our movement, what Srila Prabhupada preached, consists of teaching Shravanam and Kirtanam, especially through the Hare Krishna mantra. When we chant Hare Krishna, we do Kirtanam and Shravanam simultaneously. And then this will lead to the next step, which is called Smaranam, or remembering. What we hear has to be remembered. I give courses, some were also introductory courses, and lessons, but many times things that are taught are getting forgotten. People forget. Like even this class that I'm giving, on Wednesday you will have forgotten everything, I'm sure. Then again next Sunday you come, I say the same thing. Oh good, I've never heard that in my life. So interesting. No, but okay, Srila Prabhupada says that important things must be repeated. Sometimes also we have people, they come on Sundays and we read the purpose and they say Prabhupada always says the same thing. We've heard that before. The problem is that people don't put it into practice. That's the problem. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, then Smaranam, one should remember. And then there are different practices. One is called Pada Sevanam, one should worship the lotus feet of the Lord. Pada Sevanam means, for example, you go to the temple, means Pada Sevanam. Anything that you do with your feet is Pada Sevanam. Also, if you go on parikrama, you go on pilgrimage, that is Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Or there's even an item called Pada Yatra. You walk on procession, that is called Pada Sevanam. Or even following the Ratha Yatra cart, that is Pada Sevanam. And then there is Vandanam, for example. Vandanam means offering prayers to the Lord. pray to the Lord. One very good prayer is the Hare Krishna mantra again. Hare Krishna mantra. All different things you can pray to the Lord. Vandanam, and then Archanam or Pujanam. Archanam means doing deity worship. People should have maybe not deities to have deities, for deities to have in one's home needs a certain standard, but Gaunitai deities or deities of Lord Chaitanya are easy to serve. Gaunitai Chaitanya Nityananda are very merciful, satisfied with little worship. If you don't have deities, you can have a picture, you can offer your food that is called Pujanam or Archanam. You can offer your food to Krishna. And of course, if one does deity worship according to standard, it's called serving the Lord with 16 items. 16 items, very technical type of deity worship. So there are 9 processes of devotional service. The final item is Atmani Vedanam, are giving everything to the Lord. Everything one does, one gives it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dasyam, very important. Dasyam, become the Lord's servant. This is Dasyam. This is Bhakti, means become the Lord's servant. Dasyam, feel like a servant of the Lord. Don't feel like a servant of your government or your company. And you can do your work in your company, your profession, but simultaneously feel like a servant of the Lord, because everything you know. And then Sakyam, also very important, becoming a friend of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 5:29, Krishna says this. Uktaram yakyatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam yatva mam shantu vrishchati. Suridam sarva bhutanam. Surid means friend. So one has to understand Krishna as friend of all living entities, benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. So, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, obtains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So this is Krishna consciousness in a few words. You have any questions on this?
I have a question according to this principle not to eat meat, to be a vegetarian, and with a connection to violence. What is the next step if a person becomes a vegetarian, but violence doesn't come away so easily, aggression, violence, it's still ill. So what can I can do to move a little bit forward away from the violence?
Mm-hmm.
So because vegetarian, yes, I'm a vegetarian for more than 15 years already, but these emotions, they're still inside.
Mm. So you mean you're vegetarian and therefore you don't commit violence to animals anymore, but still you are violent sometimes to your friends and
yeah, in my behavior, in my emotions.
So in the second chapter, Krishna says one who is in one who is not in divine consciousness cannot have peace, and how can there be happiness without peace? So ultimately, we can decrease violence by certain material principles. So like if we don't eat meat, fish and eggs, then this will actually help us develop non-violence. But it is not a final guarantee. It's not the final. It will diminish the passion and the violent nature that we may have. But ultimately, non-violence is only possible if we are in full good consciousness, full God consciousness. And then it is possible. But non-violence is a difficult subject because in this world you cannot survive with some type of physical violence. So sometimes what we consider peacefulness is violence, and what we consider peacefulness, what we consider violence is non-violence. Very difficult to see. For example, take the example of a surgeon, a chirurg. A surgeon, if he cuts out somebody's lymphoma, appendix, is he violent or is he not violent?
In this case, non-violent. If he saves somebody's life, then he is non-violent person.
So if he cuts out an appendix, then he is non-violent. Okay. Although he cuts up the body of the person and he inflicts some pain, and so, but still he's being non-violent because he helps the person to live better. But if he uses the same knife, for example, to cut the throat of a goat, then he is violent because that's for his own satisfaction. So sometimes not easy. This is Arjuna's dilemma. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, I want to be non-violent and I don't want to fight. Because obviously when I kill people, that's violence. So now, is that non-violent on Arjuna's part, or is it violent? That you didn't want to fight? What do you say?
Krishna explains that from this side, Arjuna is violent, that he doesn't want to fight because he doesn't make his duty, he doesn't execute his duty, so it's not good, he breaks his karma, so he is, let's say, violent.
Yeah. Okay,
But
right.
it's difficult to understand.
Yeah, this is what Krishna is explaining to him. There is a certain example. Krishna, in the second and third chapters, he turns around Arjuna's arguments. For example, he says, one reason why I don't want to fight is that if I commit this violence, then so many men will be killed. And the families will not be protected, and religious rituals will not be executed anymore, and so on. This is what Arjuna says. So, but Krishna says about himself, if I would not engage in work, Krishna says about himself, then that would lead to the families not being protected because people will not execute their duties. So he explains to Arjuna, no, if you do not fight this war, then that will lead to degradation in society. Because you give a bad example. And if Arjuna gives up his duty as a kshatriya, as a fighter, then Vaishya will stop selling their goods, the Sudras will stop serving their masters, and the Brahmanas will stop doing their sacrifices, because he gives up his duty and people will follow his example. Therefore, this bad example will lead to degradation in society. So therefore this violence, also even if you're vegetarian, you still kill so many people. Because just in order that you can buy your potatoes and drink your milk, so many animals are now treated. There's now this point of veganism. We drink cow's milk, and the cow whose milk we drink has probably already been killed by somebody. Therefore, some people argue we should not even take milk products. So anything materially moral, any topic is very difficult and complex. Therefore, the finals, if we are vegetarian, this will help us becoming non-violent. This is going to help but even the birds are vegetarians. Many birds are vegetarians. Many birds don't even eat insects. Are they making spiritual advancement? That's not all. The ultimate peace will only come if we become God conscious. So that's why we chant 16 rounds. We chant a lot. Chant Hare Krishna a lot. to service to the spiritual masters, to service for the deity. So that has to be increased, then it will also be easier to follow those four so-called activities. We increase our service, chanting. Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to say this, that one should say only to be a vegetarian, that's not enough. Because, like she say, even if I'm vegetarian, still I'm aggressive. Why? Because we are not offering it, because we don't chant, because we don't follow other principles. It is why this religion that Prabhupada gives to us is very important to follow all these things, because then we come in this in a humble situation where we are not aggressive to other peoples, and because they say that we kill, even when we speak, we kill other living entities. When we walk, we kill other living entities. And all the time we are killing. So it's why we have to be sure that our body are serving Krishna, because at least we can say, okay, I'm killing, I do very bad things, unconsciousness, but if I do service for God, then Krishna will take this like a sacrifice. It's like a sacrifice for Krishna, our body, our mind.
Yeah. Krishna will accept our service, and it says here, enlighten us from within the heart. This is what the verse says. Yeah. Yeah, any more questions?
You say that the Hastras, we have to give only a good example for the others.
Yes.
But that's not all, but the Gihastra give example in this form that the Gihastra Shrama, Gihastras are the only who work in the society. So if a Gihastra is working, he's doing, after that everything can correct, because it's the duty of the Gihastra. Because some Gihastras, somebody can say, oh, I'm working, but I don't take care of my children, of my family. So to be sure that somebody is a Gihastra, have to give example in this form that he have to work, but in the same time to do all the other duties, to be good father, to be Krishna consciousness, to be not violent to others. So this is example means many things. And a Gihastra, it looks very simple, but this is not like this.
No, well, the duties have to be executed, but one also has to worship God. That's the example that the Gihastra gives. Two words. This one is called Grihasta. Grihasta means one who's staying in the home. Grihasta. That is Hindi also. Grihasta. He stays in the home. That's what it says.
Yeah.
He is okay. Grihasta. Okay. Husband Griha, Mr. Grihasta. What does it say?
The person who has established himself in the home, in the house, is a householder.
He is householder.
So he has the highest responsibility in the society of taking care of the other three ashramavasis.
Yeah, the Grihastas are the only ones who are working. The brahmacharis don't work, the vanaprasthas don't work, the sannyasis don't work. So the Grihastas are maintaining the entire society. Grihasta is staying in the Griha. Hastin Griha, bist du Grihasta. If you have a Griha, then you are Grihasta. Okay. Then there is the other word called Griha Medhi. You have heard? Griha Medhi.
Medhi?
Medhi, yes.
Medhi.
M-E-D-H-I.
Medhi.
Medhi.
Okay, something related to the Buddhi. Bhi.
He always thinks of the Griha. He meditates on the Griha, nothing else. This is called Griha Medhi. That means he puts the Griha in the center of his life. What kind of wallpaper? How am I going to decorate my bathroom? And which color of roof tiles am I going to have? And cut my lawn. He doesn't think of anything but his home and his household, and that is not recommended. It must be Girihasta, that is recommended. He stays in the household, but he doesn't identify with it. He does all the duties, but he offers the result of his work to God. That is Girihasta. Not that you have a household, but there's nothing else you think of. Of course, not only the wallpaper, but your beautiful wife, the sweet children. If one is married, there is certain enticements offered by wife and small children and babies. Babies, so sweet, my wife knows. So there's a tendency that the Grihastha thinks of nothing else but his beautiful wife, his sweet children, and he's enticed in this way and forgets self-realization, the most important thing. So that is not recommended. So one must perform his duty, but in the mood of karma yoga. One must not only do karma means work, but one must do karma yoga. Yoga means one must connect one's work with the purpose of self-realization, or one must do his work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Krishna explained this in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yakyatat karmanam anyata, lokoyam karma bandhana, tat atam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachare. He says, work has to be done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. If one doesn't do it, one will get entangled in the results of his work. Therefore, always do your work for satisfying Vishnu, and then you will get liberation. Mukta sangha samachare. You get free from the bondage of karma. So the work has to be there, but not only for itself. The results must be offered to Vishnu. And then it's also easier for Grihastha to give an example, a good example, because if you do your work for God, then while you do your work, you follow God's laws. If you don't do it for God, then you don't. Then you forget about laws, moral codes. But if you want to offer your work to God, then you must do it properly, because God doesn't want to accept that type of work or self-centered work. Now, that is the type of example that Grihasthas have to give. Yes, more questions?
What is the best way to perform the austerity for the different ashrams? So for brahmacharis, grihasthas, vanapasthas, and sannyasas. What's the best way?
Austerity is also, it's one of the moral codes, but it looks different for every ashram. Like for the brahmachari, the austerity is the brahmachari only eats when his guru tells him. I mean, that is the traditional Vedic perspective. And he collects wood from his guru, so the guru can do samipati. He collects wood so the guru can do his fire sacrifices. And he serves his guru only. He goes out, collects alms for his guru. This is what the brahmachari does. And he's fully dependent on his guru. That's the austerity of the brahmachari. Then the you start with the renounced ashrams. Then the austerity of the vanaprastha is he gradually gives up his entanglement in family life. He gradually reduces his activities for the family. And the sannyas ashram, the austerity of the sannyasi is that sannyasi means sat-nyasi. Sat means the truth or eternity or God, and nyasi renounces everything for the sake of the supreme truth. Sat-nyasi, sannyasi. That's the austerity of sannyasi. The austerity of the grihastha, it looks quite different. It's called yukta vairagya. Vairagya also means austerity, but yukta means joined. So he's in connection with family and work in society, and he offers all that to Vishnu. That is quite, that is called yukta vairagya. And this is the austerity of the grihastha. He takes care of his wife, of his children, he keeps connection with the family, even extended family. In India it can become quite extended. And the work, he earns money, all that. And all that he engages in some way through the process of karma yoga for pleasing Lord Vishnu. So brahmacharis are often young. I think sannyasi. Sannyasi renounces everything, grihastha engages everything. That's the basic difference.
And the step in between, so between grihastha and sannyasi, the vanaprastha, so slowly to be renounced from this entanglement and material activities.
Right, he gradually because he weans himself, and gets disaccustomed. Yeah. Like a baby, taken off the mother's breast. Prepares himself for sannyasa. Yeah, any more questions?
But what happens if, for example, the Grihastra, he don't follow these rules like the kid who say he have prepared to be sannyasa? What happens if he doesn't come to this stage?
If the Grihastra doesn't come to which stage?
To this stage from sannyas, from the process, sannyas.
Yeah, it's not required. One can stay a Grihastha all his life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't take sannyas, And it's not required. One can, in this consciousness of yukta vairagya, you can spend your entire life. You do not have to take vanaprastha or sannyas. Only if one feels inclined to. If there is a calling like this. But it doesn't have to. But one has to cultivate this mood of engaging everything in God's service. Was you the one who called by phone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was in the middle of the class when you called a second. You didn't find us.
I just came down and got confused. I just
Yeah. How far? Schaust du mal, wie weit sind wir auf dem Altar?
Ich glaube, das ist ein Bett.
Ja.
Ich gucke.
Then we need somebody to sing with Gora Ati. Have you ever tried to sing Gora Ati? You want to sing? Try.
Okay.
Gora Ati. Kivadayo Jaya Gora Sangha. Yeah?
Yeah.
Meenakshi sang it before.
ja gleich 5 Minuten.
Okay. Hast du alles verstanden, Marina?
Fast alles.
Sehr gut. Irina auch alles verstanden?
Yes.
Yeah, now we already start the program at 3:15 because we do Guru Puja at 2:45 because we do Guru Puja to Srila Prabhupada already at 2:45. So we did it today first time. We did Guru Puja to Srila Prabhupada. And this is very proper way to start the program, to sing the Sri Guru Charanatama in the beginning, already 2:45. And then, but the program officially starts at 3. And now the Arti is going to come, so the Gora Arti. These are all different processes of devotional service. That is, if you come here once a week on Sunday, there's so many things you can do for Krishna. Just come to the service, Bhakti Yoga Center.
Tomorrow is Ekadasi, no? Could you say this nice pastime?
Yeah.
But Ambarish Maharaj,
Yeah.
tomorrow is Ekadasi for the devotees who want to fast. No, don't forget. No grains, tomorrow no grains.
Yes, we do this Ekadasi twice a month, but only for 1 day. For 1 day, at this day of age. Tomorrow. And very few fast all day. Most of us, we fast only from grains and beans and even sesame. In the beginning, we didn't fast from sesame. We didn't know that sesame is it a type of bean? Or?
Yeah, it looks like when you see the sesame, the place where is the sesame inside looks like it. And also not only that, but
legumes.
Yeah, also carrot.
Carrot.
Carrot also we don't use, and some even nuts.
Peanuts.
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 Yeah, because they are looks very similar.
Peanuts are beans that look like nuts. Did you know that? You know that? Peanuts. Yeah, they are botanically they are beans, but they look like nuts. When I started, we didn't know that either. We ate peanuts all day on college.
In India, we eat peanuts.
Srila Prabhupada, yeah. Srila Prabhupada
eat
is.
peanuts.
Yeah.
What I mean is that where they are born looks like the grain. But
Yeah.
Prabhupada, he say also he was eating
Yeah, he ate peanuts, and I think even sesame.
But no sesame is not allowed.
But the main thing is grains and beans. No bread on the Ekadasi. Impossible for Jews. No rice. No Brötchen. Können wir anfangen? Okay, ist fertig, ja? Dann sing, Subhra, would you sing? Die Gora Arti.